Today on the Ask Brady Show, the audio quality improves dramatically. Well, hey there, and welcome to the Ask Brady Show. We are back for another episode where we're answering your questions pertaining to your church, digital, media, and communications. And check it out. There's a sport check that's going out of business near my house, which means we can get sports paraphernalia at a discounted price. So I was having a tough day yesterday. My wife went out and she got me this We the North flag, waving flag and waving flag. And that's a Canadian artist, right?
The original? I don't know.
Yeah, it is a Canadian artist. Okay, that's what I thought. So I'm wearing my Toronto Raptors baseball jersey Frank and Oak shirt. I've got my Toronto Raptors We the North flag, and I'm singing a Canadian song by, what's his name? Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves, that's right. Yeah, he's got a good album. Anyway, the NBA Finals started yesterday, and what better time than when your team has been obliterated by a team that is currently being obliterated than to double down on how much you care for your team? Because sports fanship, Jonas and Roxanne, both of which are a disgrace, comes down to caring for your team when they are out of it, not when it's easy.
I don't do that. I just never care.
Roxanne, what teams do you follow?
I don't follow any sports except for figure skating.
Are you a fan of?
Oh, yeah. I have picked a team in every sport except for basketball, which I guess would be the Raptors, probably.
Okay, well, you know what? I was trying to set you up for a trap, as I think you saw, and I will now not worry about the trap because you chose the Raptors, so thank you. Yes, we are back for another episode, and as you may have noticed, our audio is greatly improved. We've been testing a variety of different audio solutions for the Ask Brady Show. The room that we are in has tremendous lighting, which means we can just sit down and film at any time because we've got a full wall of windows to my right, your left, which is awesome. Problem is, the acoustics of this room are perhaps the worst acoustics of any room of all time. It is a big enough room to have reverb that's, noticeable and significant, but not so big that the reverb would disappear because the room is so big. And it's just small enough to have 4, 5, 6 hard surfaces where audio is just bouncing all around. And these mics, the mic that you're seeing I'm on right now and the one that Roxanne is on, are actually the exact same microphones that we use for the Pro Church podcast. And so the audio quality will be noticeably improved, and the post-production process for Jonas is improved as well. Yay, Jonas.
Yay!
I don't even know if you can hear Jonas. He's saying yay right now, but you might not even be able to hear him because the audio is now so improved. So that's what's going on in our lives. I'm heading off to San Francisco early next week. Why would I be going to San Francisco, Roxanne? Oh, well, I'll let you take a guess.
Let's guess. Baseball.
True, baseball. Heading off to see the Blue Jays face the Oakland Athletics on Monday and Tuesday with my good buddy Justin. And this will be ballpark number 28 of 31. After this, 3 to go. I think I'm going to get it all done this year. I went with Brittany, my wife, last year to San Francisco to see the Jays take on the Giants in San Francisco at AT&T Park. And normally when I go on these baseball trips, if there are 2 stadiums in a close proximity to one another, you try to couple them together so you don't have to go back. But going back to San Francisco is pretty awesome. And I get to see the Jays both times, whereas if I had seen the Jays in San Francisco, I wouldn't have been able to see them in Oakland. And Oakland was not at home playing baseball. They were on the road, so I had to go back twice to the Bay Area. Oh well, too bad.
Yeah, rough life.
And I was worried about having to go back to Atlanta twice, not because they have 2 stadiums, but because they have their old stadium and their new one. But I had such an amazing time in Atlanta last year that I'm excited to go back again this year. So lots of good stuff. But enough about us. What about you, Pro Church Nation? What about your questions? We've got 4 of them. We're going in. Improved audio. I wave in a flag. Let's do it.
All right. So the first question comes from Colin, and it's actually a video question.
Ooh.
Hey, Brady, this is Colin from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Excited to be on the show. Had a question for you. What percentage of people are going to be willing to take a Connect card to a reception following the service versus just turning it into the offering plate. Trying to build a good assimilation process and want to gather as much information as possible about our visitors, but realize that it might be a barrier for them to bring in a Connect card to a reception area or a guest area versus just turn it into the offering plate. Thanks so much.
This is something that almost every church deals with. And so I'm really glad, Colin, that you asked this question because I'm excited to dive into it. Let's do a very quick and short informal poll. Roxanne, would you be willing to fill out a new visitor's card and then take it to the welcome desk to receive a free gift, a mystery free gift that, could vary church to church?
No, I refuse every single time.
Interesting. Jonas, what would you do?
No.
Jonas says he would not do it, so we're 0 for 2. Now, that being said, both Jonas and Roxanne, I think, would identify as introverts themselves. Yeah. I am probably an ambivert, somewhere in the middle. I would... This is a tough question for me to answer because, we're in this every single day as well, right? So we're not exact. That's why I said this is an informal, definitely not scientific poll. But I would, I'm on the fence. I did it when I visited my new church only because I knew how important it was for the church. I didn't want to do it, but I did it because I knew that it was helpful for them because, this is what we do every single day. I think an option is always good, but I think that dropping the card in the offering is also a little bit antiquated and throwback. So what I would suggest is you take a hybrid approach using a tool like Nucleus. So what I imagine the best way of doing this is that there are two options. And we're going to actually create these cards for Nucleus users in a couple of months. But I think that instead of having... Right now, when I go to my church, there are like 3 different cards in the seat back in front where it's like, here's your giving card, here's your envelope, here's your Connect card. What I think you should have is just a single card. And on the front of it, the card would just have your Nucleus or your Central Hub URL. So for instance, it would say like centralcc.info. And you could have like a little call to action, be like, give, connect, or whatever it might be. And that's a physical, tangible item in the seat back in front of you at your church. Because I don't think that we should just translate everything to digital once you have someone in person at your church. We don't go to restaurants and then be handed a digital menu. We actually get a real menu. It's tangible because we're already there in person. We don't need to be digital. We're already there. With that being said, a lot of the next steps and big stuff needs to take place over digital so that it can be integrated into our existing church management platform, so the giving can be centralized, and so that we can, optimize and be most efficient with our volunteer resources, and so everything can be clear and simple. So I would have a card in the seat back in front, just one card, and it has your Nucleus, Central Hub, URL right there. And then someone can go on their phone and fill out the digital Connect card. And what's great about a digital Connect card in this way is that it would be connected instantly with a service like Text in Church or with a service like MailChimp. And so you could follow up and deliver that free gift instantly in the seat within 2 minutes. Let's say that free gift is, a Starbucks $5 gift card. You could deliver that digitally, whatever it might be. You could deliver that automatically. And that would make it so that someone who's an ambivert, extrovert, or introvert who does not want to fill out a card, talk to a person face-to-face, they could still take that step. You would have their information in the same way, and everyone would be happy. Now, with that being said, you might want to take a hybrid approach like I mentioned, and on the other side of that card, have something that you could fill out by hand, and only have it for your Connect card. I wouldn't then put in a giving envelope and put in a ton of extra things, but I would have this card. One side, Central Hub URL, Nucleus URL. Other side, a really short 3 or 4 fields only Connect card that can be filled out. And then you could have instructions or you could say in service, instructions on the card box would be helpful as well. Instructions within service also saying, hey, take that card and you get the exact same gift. But this is kind of what we encourage that is done with the Central Hub and Nucleus anyway, right? It's always available digitally from your device, but then we also have these kiosks set up in the lobby. So if someone needs help, it's all run on the exact same software. It's all the exact same thing, but there's a digital and in-person option. But the software, the hardware that's running it is all the exact same. And so that's probably what I would do. I think dropping it off in the offering is nice, but I think that can be improved a great deal with a tool like Nucleus, or if you can code it yourself, however you want to do it, an actual digital Connect card that's easy to access, clear with print instructions on that card, and then you can follow up immediately, or with however you want to follow up. Maybe you don't want to follow up immediately, but if you're giving out a free gift, now you can follow up immediately using a service like MailChimp Text in Church that's integrated with your central hub. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think a digital option is like really great, especially for someone like me. It's funny because at the last 2 churches that I've been new at, I stubbornly refuse to fill out the Connect card. But I've then gone online and emailed them to find out information because I'm like, I want to know. I just don't want to fill out the Connect card.
Wow, that is commitment to stick. That's not commitment. That is stubbornness to the nth degree.
It's like, I'm not really new. I've been at church for my whole life. I refuse to fill out a Connect card.
That's hilarious. Yeah, yeah, and that's Roxanne's experience. And there will be people now. I would argue very few of them that want to fill out a physical card and then meet someone they've never met to get a free gift that probably sucks. I love it when churches give out like gift cards to local restaurants or local coffee shops because that's something of like high value. Yeah. When they give out their like a mug with their branding on it, or a CD of their worship music, I find those to be tremendously less valuable, simply because if I'm just checking you out, like, I mean, I understand the worship music, like CD, and if your church is awesome, like, I do understand that. I've been given that a couple of times and didn't love it, but the mug, the travel coffee with the branding on it, like, come on.
And we all have 80 million coffee mugs already that we're trying to get rid of. Like, let's be honest.
Exactly. So I this isn't part of the question from Colin, but when it comes to the actual gift, the incentive that you're using, I always love a digital like gift card or a physical gift card to a local coffee joint, local restaurant that is loved by all. I wonder if you could set it up where you could automatically send out a gift card when someone signs up for something.
Yeah, I'm not sure because I've never sent a digital gift card.
Yeah, like I know you can send them manually, but could you do it automatically? Yeah. That might be tough. Surely there's a way. Either way, so that's what I would do when it comes to getting people to fill stuff out. You know, this is such an important question from Colin because when you have someone at your church for the first time, the amount of effort and work that's gone into getting them there should not be overlooked. It is hard. It is difficult to get an individual or a family to get in their car on a Sunday morning, get the kids ready, get the family ready, drive to a new place, walk into a new building, understanding that you're entering into a culture where everyone is familiar with what's happening. And a lot of people know each other on a personal, intimate level, and you are now the outsider. Recognizing how difficult that is, every time you have a new visitor at church, it is so valuable. And you want to do everything you can to get them to come back first and foremost, but also capture their information so that you can follow up. And I think we have a question coming up next that has to do with follow-up and the best way to do that. And so it is important, and I love this question from Colin. I'll reiterate that. It's important to always be evaluating how are we capturing new visitors' information? Is it working? What can we do better? I think the best way is to push the digital option. With that being said, the digital option needs to be easy.
Yeah.
Digital can become very difficult. If you have a card in your seat back with a pen right next to it, it is very clear and obvious how that should be filled out. Now, you can screw that up as well. I'm going on an international flight soon, and I do it a lot. You come home from an international flight, and they're like, please fill out this custom form. And you're like, I'm 30,000 feet in the air. I don't have a pen. Who has a pen? And then you're like leaning over to the next person, like, can I borrow your pen? And they look at you like, no, you will not be welcome back to Canada. And you're like, no. And so, there can be difficulties to filling out something in a physical card, but the digital is tough, especially if the URL is hard to access. So that's why I would have a card with your Central Hub's URL on it, especially because if you're using Nucleus the way you're supposed to be doing it, if you're using your Central Hub the way it needs to be used, you're going to be referencing that URL over and over again throughout the service for every single thing. So people are going to hear it. It's going to be visible in a card right in front of them. And the first card that we put in our Nucleus demo was the Connect card for a reason. So that if you visit that thing, it's so clear. The first thing is right there. You fill out the 3 or 4 form fields, and we should link in the show notes on YouTube. Joe, let's put in the 7 best connection card examples. It's a great post, one of our most popular that we put together of real church connection cards that are great. The shorter, the better. Keep them short, whether you're doing it digitally or physically. The more form fields you have, the less cards you will get returned. So keep that short, keep it brief.
I agree. All right, so question 2 comes from Jasper Williams, and he says, have you seen a killer first-time guest follow-up sequence? Somebody that's really doing it right.
Jasper Williams, huge member of Pro Church Nation, one of our longest-serving Pro Video Announcements clients. Really, one of the best options for follow-up that I've seen is from our friends over at Text in Church, Tyler Smith and the crew over there. They've got a great follow-up blueprint. And so rather than going into an extensive, follow-up thing, they have this great webinar that they're always running. If you just go to textinchurch.com, you can see that webinar, and they give you, if you stay to the end, I think they give you this free blueprint that's, step-by-step on how to follow up. So if you want the exact scripts and the exact templates, I would recommend looking into that. When it comes to kind of the macro techniques and macro strategies, the first and most important is to follow up soon. And this, again, going back to our first question, is one of the huge disadvantages of physical connection cards. Because for follow-up to take place, it needs to be manual. This is one of the problems when everything is done with sign-up sheets, when it's done with things that are written down. Yeah, it's tactical, it's a tactile material, and that's kind of nice. And, print isn't dead, and that can feel nice. It is nice when you fill something out sometimes, not on an airplane. That's the worst. But the problem is, a lot of churches have Mondays off. And even if you don't, you come in on Monday, and now one of the people on staff, an admin, whoever it has to be, has to take all those cards that have been submitted, manually punch them into the CHMS, manually trigger the follow-up processes. And now, if that wasn't on Monday, now it's Tuesday, maybe that's not one of the first things that you do, because you've got a big Monday meeting. It's like the kickoff meeting for staff. You've got devotions in the morning. You got some emails that have come in all weekend, and now it's lunchtime, and then you go out for lunch, and it's the afternoon. And now it's like the person was in church more than 24 hours ago, 36 hours, 48 hours. You still haven't followed up. The time to strike is when you have people's most captive attention. There's a reason the way that we run our funnels at Pro Church Tools, where if you sign up for a free guide that we give away, so let's say you're signing up for our Facebook ads guide, you want to download that guide, we're going to deliver it to you for free. The first thing we do after you download that guide is we take you to a page where we're like, look, this guide is free. We've also got this paid resource. You're by no means obligated to purchase it, but if you do want it, it's here to purchase. We have them at the most optimal time to purchase right then and there, because they've shown interest, they've put in their email address to download something, and if we then wait a day or two to follow up, the chance of making a sale, the chance of giving them and serving them better with our absolute best resource drops dramatically. Same thing for your church. You've got someone. We talked about the difficulty that it takes to actually get in your car, come to church, how hard that is. You've done all that. You need to follow up with them as soon as possible. So again, check out that Text in Church, and we'll link that in the show notes as well on youtube.com. Check out that resource if you want to see some precise scripts and templates. We also just released a great post called 37 copy and paste email headlines. I think we talked about that last week. We'll throw that in the show notes as well. That has great actual email headlines. So if you're thinking, okay, I want to send up a follow email right away, what should I send? Headline is the most important thing in that email, and you can check out those copy and paste. Anything you want to add to this?
No, I was just thinking that obviously we've all signed up for newsletters, whether it's you had to sign up to make your purchase or whatever. And I was thinking how many times it's happened to me that they didn't send it soon enough, and I get it, and I'm like, what is this? Where did this come from? I don't remember signing up for this. And then I just unsubscribe immediately because I'm like, I don't even remember what this is.
And soon enough can be a matter of minutes, hours, days. We have short attention spans. There is so much going on. You need to strike. Oh no, we're back to this metaphor. What was it? Strike while the iron is hot?
Yeah, but
and then what was the?
What did it mean?
It was right because we thought it was branding cattle, but then it was the blacksmith. Right, you had to strike while the iron is hot. Yes, the blacksmith metaphor.
Right.
Awesome. I'm glad we didn't lose this. Good thing Jonas is here behind the camera.
Keeping us together.
All righty. Moving on to the next question.
All right. The next question comes from, if I can unlock my phone, Larissa. And she says, how much information is too much when creating a church event flyer? What is a good way to limit people?
Okay, so when it comes to your visual designs, less is always more. And the question that I always ask myself is, what purpose is this serving, this element? And that can be text, it can be a visual element, it can be a photo, a color. Everything needs to have a purpose. If you start designing and throw in an element, a piece of text, a piece of information without purpose, that's when you get into these designs that you'll see so often with inexperienced designers, many of which serve at churches because we're stretched so thin and doing so many different jobs. They're just overstuffed. It's like every possible thing that could be there is there. We see this on church websites too, right? You're like, you land on it and it's this just obstruction, this destruction, this like conclave of information that's like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And you're like, I don't really know what needs to be looked at. And that's a key point too. When you're doing your visual design, there needs to be a point of focus. So more than anything else, there needs to be one main thing. And the main thing is not going to be the information of the event. You're not going to like look at a graphic and all you see is 7 p.m. Wednesday. You're like, what is 7 p.m. Wednesday, right? Like you're obviously going to have the title of the event or some type of design element that is identifying what the event is for. Then you have the supplemental information. Here's a rule that I would follow. What is the least amount of information that you can put in there that would accomplish what needs to be done? And I assure you, and I urge you to really think about this because it's probably easier to think, especially when it's your own design, that, well, I need to have this, and that. But do you really need all of that? So for instance, if it was an event flyer for a special event at church, let's say it's your fall festival, or it's a kids carnival, or it's your VBS, what you can do is have the absolute minimum information that you need. So for VBS, maybe you have the dates that it's running. It's like June 24th to 28th. The time each day, 12 to 5 p.m., and then a call to action to get more information, right? Like, you need to have the base information that someone, you got to imagine, put yourself as much as you can in the shoes of the user. So they see this. They see VBS. You've identified the event. That's the focal point of the graphic. And so someone is either going to look at that and be interested, or they're not. If they're not interested, great. That was why the focal point of the graphic needed to be that. But you move on to the next group, the group that saw the VBS and is interested. Well, what do they need to know next? What is the most important information that they need to know next? Okay, I'm interested in VBS. Can my kids actually attend it? I need to know the date. Okay, great. It's from June 24th to 28th. Great. Oh, yeah, actually, I am available that day. Ooh, but only in the afternoons. What time is this? Okay. Oh, okay, great. It's happening in the afternoons. That time works as well. Now, this is where you need to be very, very careful because you can then ask those questions over and over again. Well, what's the cost? Where is it actually hosted? Who's hosting it? What's the theme for this event? What are the ages? Like all these things. So what you need to do is get the information that's at the absolute minimal information that is needed and then put in that call to action. So you could put in, www.vbsniagarafalls.com. And that's where they could learn more information. You could even have and you want to make it, don't just have it as a static like link, have the call to action. Sign up at vbsniagarafalls.com. So if this individual, you've identified the event, they've resonated with that, you've given them a basic bit of information for them to know, oh, I could actually be a part of this. And then you give them that call to action. Ready to commit? Go here. And then they know implicitly that if they go there and you didn't talk about the price, they don't know if it's free or if it costs, they don't know the age limits, they can go there and get the remaining information. But what you've done is you've accomplished the goal of the graphic. The visual has a purpose, and nothing there is just thrown in there arbitrarily. Everything has a strong why behind it.
Yeah. I was thinking I'm currently shopping for new spectacles, new glasses.
I thought you were going to say I'm currently shopping for a new VBS.
I am. No, I'm kidding. I'm currently shopping for spectacles, and so the internet knows, and they keep advertising to me on Facebook. And Warby Parker, that's how they advertise, is they give you minimal information, we have an on-home trial thing, and then you have to click here, and you can find out all the information there. So it's not just flyers. It's it works everywhere.
That's such a great example. I'm so glad you brought that up because Warby Parker, they know, okay, what are the most important things to the spectacles potential shopper? So what does Roxanne really care about? Well, she cares about the design of the frame. So there's probably like an image that shows some frames.
Yeah.
That they're identifying what it's about. And then they know, okay, what are the people, what's someone's objection going to be? Objection might be price. Objection might be difficulty of acquisition. So they got free in-home trial, 14-day returns. And so Roxanne she resonates with the ad. It immediately identifies what she's looking for. And then it immediately disarms any of her objections right away. Mm-hmm. Now, Roxanne has more objections, but her big main ones have been addressed. And this is now going to lead her to take action. And that's when she can make like the full and final decision. Now, what Warby Parker smartly didn't do was say like free in-home trials, 14-day return, price ranges from $199 to $599. Certain terms and restrictions apply. Here are all the terms and restrictions. Limited to one per offer. This deal ends on June the 30th, 2017. Not available in the continental. Like this is.
It's true.
It got what it made. It's like 3 steps. Identify. Absolutely only necessary information. Call to action. Those are the 3 things. You got to be really careful with that step 2. Because you are the one who's deciding what's necessary. And we all have the kind of like inclination to overthink, to overassume, to over-index on what we believe is necessary, what we believe is crucial. And so you can even do an exercise. Like even in this episode of Ask Brady, we've been asking, like doing some informal polls. Roxanne will share an example. Jonas will give some feedback. You can do that. Just go around to the staff and be like, what are the 2 most important things that you would need to know about VBS? Mm-hmm. Get their feedback from the 5 people in the church office, from the 10 people, whatever it might be. Take notes on all of them, and then look, what were the 2 that came up the most? You'll likely see some patterns and trends. Now you've actually basing it not just on like your own inclination or your own beliefs, but you've actually got some feedback from real people. Base it on that, you're good to go. 3 steps, easy. Yeah. This is a fire episode. I'm getting inspired by my podcast, Mike. I'm like, this isn't just a video show. It's time to bring the real goods.
I do kind of feel like, when there's like video from when people do radio interviews, I feel like I'm on a radio interview.
It absolutely does feel like that.
Probably slouching more than normal. All right. The last question comes from Rob, and he says, what percentage of your budget should go towards Facebook ads?
Okay, so, sorry, what was the name?
Rob. I think.
Rob. Okay, Rob.
Yeah, it is Rob.
Okay, great. Rob. It's like, I don't know how many more variations of Rob I can do. Figure out if it's Rob quicker, faster. Oh, Roxanne. Why is Facebook ads the best ads platform in the history of humankind? 3 reasons. Number 1, currently, and for its entire history, it has been massively underpriced. It costs dramatically less to advertise on Facebook than it does on print, TV, radio, billboard, magazine, mailers. Facebook is so much cheaper, which is great. But it's not just cheaper. It also has the audience. 79% of Americans are on Facebook and active as of November 2016 from the latest Pew research that we have. That means 8 out of 10 people in your city or community are active on Facebook. Where else are you going to get that kind of reach? You could do mailers, but you're not going to be able to reach as many people for the cost. In fact, you could theoretically do it with mailers, but the cost is so prohibitive that you actually can't in practice. Mm-hmm. You can't do it. Not that many people in your community listen to the favorite radio station. Not that many watch the local TV. Not that many people read, the magazine that's offered at, the local convenience store. So it's got the audience. And then what it also has is the data from that audience and the targeting ability that is unmatched. You can send out to a neighborhood with a direct mailer. You can send out to a radio ad, but you don't really know if it's working, and you don't know who it's reaching. Mm-hmm. They can give you some demographics based on their best estimates or on their data, but Facebook knows every single little thing about Roxanne, Jonas, myself, and every single person, 8 out of 10 in your community that's on Facebook. They have all of our data. And so you can target based on families. You can target based on singles. target based on age, target based on zip code, target based on do you like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches or not? Maybe your church is the church of the peanut butter and jelly. You know, you're an offshoot. Yeah, it's a little bit niche, but you're making it happen. You still love Jesus, whatever it might be. Facebook is the most underpriced with the biggest audience and the most precise targeting. So when it comes to figuring out your budget, easily, in my opinion, the most of it, when it comes to your ad budget, should go towards the best ad platform. Mm-hmm. The best ad platform is Facebook. So I don't know if that means 9 out of every $10. I don't know if that means 10 out of every $10. I don't know if it means 6 out of every $10. But I would put the majority of your budget for marketing and ads into Facebook. It's just the best. For us at Pro Church Tools, we put 100% of our ad budget into Facebook. Why? Because it's working tremendously well. Sure. Could other options work? Maybe we could do some Google AdWords. That might help, might work. Facebook's doing it great already. So I'd rather double down on what's working the best rather than split my creative focus, split my actual creative design, have to do copyright for both, have to learn 2 different platforms. I'd rather learn one exceptionally well until it stops working. But until then, I'm just going to keep pouring all of the resources that I have into that. And so pour it into the actual best ad platform that you have. That is Facebook. Simple. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a new era here at the Ask Brady Show. We've got video questions every single week. We've got these new microphones, which means audio is pristine. But the Canada Dry remains because not everything needs to change. Canada Dry Club Soda. The only way to go. Low sodium, people. It's low sodium. My drink of choice on the Ask Brady Show.
It's true.
Sponsored by them? Maybe one day. But it is not this day. If you want your question answered on the Ask Brady Show, you can add a comment on YouTube or Facebook with the hashtag Ask Brady. You can also just send out a random message into the ether, that which we call the internet, on Twitter or Instagram with the hashtag Ask Brady. We'll find it and we'll put it on the show. Remember, send in a video question. You will be put immediately to the top of the list because we prioritize video questions because they are awesome. Thanks for watching, Pro Church Nation, or listening. We love you. You are the best. Go seize the 167, and we'll see you in another episode of Ask Brady.